Previously in the Stormlight Archive.
Daniel traded his shard blade for the bridgeman.
Shalon killed her father?
No, I am correct. I know I am. There's so many points pointing towards it, but I just want it on the page confirmed that the shard blades are Spren.
The humans were the Voidbringers?
What does it mean?
Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I am starting Rhythm of War. It's happening. Here we go. The book. It's time. It's been quite a little while since I read Oathbringer, so I'm a little bit nervous getting into this. I have rewatched my Oathbringer vlog because I have vlogged the previous 3 installments in this series to try and like refresh myself on my thoughts and some of the key moments in that, and that definitely has helped. That's definitely helped and sort of like revived some of my thoughts. But I am still a little bit nervous going into this that I will have forgotten some details or forgotten some of the names for different characters. I feel as though my memory of all of the like main plot points is good, but my memory of maybe like the wider cosmic connections and all the little links and all of the theories that I would generally feel like I'm quite good at is not feeling at the top of its game. But we shall see how it all like pans out once I get started. So similar format to the previous ones. It's going to be full spoilers for all of the Stormlight Archive, so everything to date, and then as I work my way through this with thoughts, theories, predictions, just everything that's going on in here. To confirm, this video is going to be full Cosmere spoilers, so spoilers for everything in the Cosmere aside from Sunlit Man, which I have personally not read. My ambitions for this, because obviously this is chunky, it's very chunky, I've got a long way to go. As you can see, I have put a bookmark in here, and this is the bookmark that denotes where the paperback split. So in the UK you can get this as a paperback. I don't have that, I have the original hardback. But my ambition to make this feel a little bit less daunting is to read to here at first. Then I might take a break, read something else, and then come back and read the second one. So I sort of split it into that 2 books. Because I know last time with Oathbringer, it felt like I was reading the book for a month. For forever and a day. So hopefully this one goes well. I will obviously keep you updated as I have more things to say. I will link the previous installments down below, so I would maybe check those out if you want to, instead of diving in here in the fourth installment. Maybe don't watch this if you haven't read Rhythm of War, because I don't want to spoil you. Let's just get into things and I will update when I've read something. I am loving how action-packed the beginning of this book is. I am 102 pages in, chapter 7, so making some progress, getting there slowly but surely. So I'm loving how action-packed this beginning is. Like, we're going like from the battle of Hearthstone to Shalon and her trying to like take down Eli, and so it just feels as though we've got like action after action and like things happening, and it's sort of like settled me back into the world relatively like smoothly, and like back into the character, into our main characters. I'm really liking seeing more from Navani. I'm finding her really interesting. I especially liked the prologue that we got from her, and I've really enjoyed seeing like that scene of Gavilar's death from all the different perspectives at the beginning of each of the books. I find that so fun. Like, I find it really interesting how there was so much going on that night that we are now continuing to see unfold from different people's perspectives. I definitely feel as though my memory of some things is a little bit, not flaky, a little bit fuzzy, and I think it's to do with like some of the minor characters. Like, I'm sure we've seen Leshwi before, and I'm like, I know I've met you in Oathbringer, but I've sort of forgotten like some of the scenes you were in. I'm sure of it. So there's definitely some like fuzzy bits in my memory, but I think I've got the major plot points still in there, so I think this should be good. I'm just might be a little bit slow on things. Maybe it'll be less predictions, and that's, I feel like, is maybe a good thing, because I felt like I over predicted Words of Radiance, and then I got a bit disappointed because I predicted everything, and then I actually enjoyed Oathbringer, well, at the end of it more, because I hadn't predicted so many things. So, well, I don't really know where this book is going to be heading. currently. I don't know what we're going to be building to. Like we're already in some action, so I don't quite know where the direction for right now. I'm just going to go with the flow. I will go with the flow. Hopefully going to do a lot of reading now.
5 months later.
Hello. So, no time has passed for you, but since filming those 2 clips in April, it has been 5 months. It is now September. So, some time has passed. And I put down Rhythm of War in April. Honestly, I put it down. I think it got to about the 3rd week of the month, and I had read 200 pages. I'd enjoyed the lights. I had enjoyed those 200 pages. What is going on? Is this the curse? The curse of Rhythm of War? So, as I was saying before the lights decided to rudely interrupt me, I was enjoying it. I was enjoying it. It was not a comment on my enjoyment for why I haven't picked it up in the past 5 months. I just felt at that time that I wasn't making any progress, that I was reading 10, maybe 20 pages a day, and that was not an enjoyable experience. I felt like I could not get into a rhythm with Rhythm of War. I just had no momentum with it, that when I picked it up, I enjoyed it, but I never had the time to dedicate myself to it and to be actually reading it continuously. And so it was taking me so long. It was taking me so long to get anywhere. It got to the 3rd week of the month, and I was like, I don't think I can do this. I have not read anything this month. I read 200 pages. So I put the book down. I was like, I have to read something else. I just have to read another book. And I think I did intend to update you at that point. I think that was my intention. I got to page 225 and I was like, I'm going to film an update and just say where I'm at. And I thought, I didn't even do that. I didn't do that. So now I'm coming in and I'm like, what was I thinking at the time? Like, what did I think? I can't hardly remember. So where I got to was the end of chapter 15, start of chapter 16. At that time, I remember the last chapter I had read, I really enjoyed. It was the one where Kaladin and Zahel have their little fighting scene through the laundry. I remember reading it and being like, oh my god, so many connections here, so many things. Loved it. Can't remember now what those things were, but I loved it at the time. I remember distinctly loving that chapter, being like, oh, and just enjoyed the whole cinematography of it. But those were my final thoughts. We are now coming back into this. It is September, and today I have read 50 pages. So I have made some progress. Finally, I've picked this book back up. I picked it back up. It has been haunting me on my shelves, and I've picked it back up. So I've read 50 more pages and I have finished part 1. Part 1 is finished. I'm now at the first set of interludes. I have made progress. My thoughts, I have no thoughts. Head empty, because I'm just at the point where I'm settling myself back into it. I'm like, okay, yes, I remember what's going on. I remember what's happened, getting settled back with our characters and being like, oh yeah, I like you. Just sort of seeing where, what their plans are, and I'm just going to be along for the ride for a little bit, and then I will come back to you maybe in a little bit once I've read a few hundred more pages on if I have any theories and thoughts and predictions and things, once I'm a little bit more settled. I'm hoping now I'm back. I'm hoping this is it and I'm committed. I definitely want to get to, I think I said this in the first bit, get to the end of book 1, or the UK book 1 as my first target, which is the second bookmark in this. So first bookmark is where I am, second bookmark is where I would like to get to, which is 300 pages away, and to have that as a mini target, and then I will review. Okay, so I have a ton of thoughts. I am so into this and I have so many thoughts and I am loving it. I'm loving this book. I'm obsessed. Okay, so I don't know what I last updated on. I think I last updated when I read 50 pages of from where I was at. So I was like 270-ish pages in. I'm now 466 pages in. Chapter 37, Silence from the Dead. So I am, a good chunk into part 2 now? A good chunk into part 2, with this much left of part 2 and the second set of interludes. So yeah, over halfway into part 2. Oh my god, I'm so enjoying this. I'm so enjoying this, and I have so many thoughts and like theories and things that come into my mind. I was just waiting for the right time to read this book. It wasn't the right time in April. Now that we're September, it's the right time. I'm in a better place for it. I have a bit more time to just chill and read the book and theorize and enjoy it. And I've like refreshed myself a little bit on those 220 odd pages that I read in April. So I feel like I've got settled. I'm very much settled in. I'm settled back. I'm back and settled in the story. I'm like, yeah, I'm enjoying this. I know exactly what's going on. Well, maybe not exactly what's going on, because all of the there's a lot going on. I mean, there's the plot and then there's like the wider plot. And I feel like with the wider plot, there are probably things that I'm missing. I'm like, I want to be able to connect everything. I want to be one of those really clever people that's like, and here's this cosmic reference, and here's this, and here's this is how it all interconnects. And I'm like, I want to be that, but I don't think I am. I think I have aspirations, but I'm not quite there. I am loving exploring Shazma. I mean, I'm loving exploring it. I am just so much enjoy. I'm enjoying so much seeing Shalon and Adolin and their crew exploring. I just love seeing all the different types of spray and what it is like there, that world, the experience of being there. Love it. And seeing the different seeing the relationships grow between Shalon and Adolin. Like, I was really disappointed at the end of Oathbringer when their wedding was just like brushed over. It was like, and they had their wedding, and I was like, but wait, go back, like, let me see this. So although we haven't gone back and seen that, it's nice sort of seeing their relationship develop and seeing those two sort of bond and seeing how they're like coming together and seeing their like feelings for each other grow. Like, I'm actually rooting for them a bit more. I was always rooting a bit more for Shalon and Kaladin, but actually I'm rooting this now. But I'm a bit concerned for Shalon. I'm a bit concerned about her, with her like trying to manage these different personalities and her sort of going into like hiding within herself when things have become too overwhelming, and how she is struggling. She is struggling, and she needs some help. She needs to go to like Kaladin's mental health clinic. I think she needs to go there because she needs it. But yeah, I'm concerned, especially with that reveal that maybe Patton is the one that is the like spy, and that just does not sit right with me. Patton, how dare he? No. I trusted Patton, and I still trust Patton, but I'm a bit like, what has gone on here? This can't be right. But it feels like such a betrayal. It is such a betrayal, and she needs to dig deep and like accept some of her past, and like, I need to know what it is as well. I need to know what's happened that she's so scared of, and what she's so scared about telling everybody or just admitting to herself. I need to know. Lots of thoughts there. And Adolin, I'm loving seeing his like friendship with Maya. They're going to form a bond. They already have a bond. They are bonded. Like, I don't know quite what sort of bond that's going to look like, but I think Maya's going to like come back. She's going to be able to recover from the trauma that she has gone through and is no longer going to be a dead eyes, is my theory, that due to a new bond with Adolin. And I'm loving seeing it. And seeing them together. I have realised I don't think it was ever revealed that he killed Sadius. Because all the way through Oathbringer, I was like, this is going to come out, it's going to cause drama. And it hasn't come out. And I'm like, is it ever going to come out now? Because I had it so in my head that it was going to be like a big reveal that was going to like turn people away from him or like cause issues in Uruthiru, but it just hasn't. It just sort of got brushed under the carpet, and I was like, thoughts about that. Anyway, I did love him saving Notum. I did love seeing that. Like him and Maya back to back. Oh, so good. So many good scenes in this. Loads of good scenes. Oh, so many good chapters. Anyway, so I'm just loving that whole like section, that whole thing. Really excited to see them try and persuade the Honor to like bond with the humans and see how that's all going to go. I'm just excited for all of that. And then 2 are other characters that we're exploring currently. Kaladin, I think it's good for him to have his like little break from all the drama, that he's, you know, creating his mental health like facility, that he's helping, that he's getting into a better headspace himself, he's not going through it so much. I think it's good, but I think it's like the calm before the storm for him. It's not gonna last. He's having too good a time. It's not gonna last. It's just not gonna last. It's great for him, but it's not gonna last. It seems obvious to me, but it seems like we know that Odium and Fenley are going to be attacking Uruthiru, and it's pretty much unguarded because they sent everybody off to whatever that place is called. So it's pretty much unguarded apart from like Navani and Kaladin and probably a few other people, but they've sent all their army away. So obviously it's unprotected, and Odium knows that because he's buddies with Taravangian, obviously threatened, and so Kaladin's good time's going to come to an end. It's going to come to an end, obviously. And then Navani, yeah, I am liking her sort of like investigation that she's doing into the Fabrials and the threats that she's been getting, telling her to stop. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, for me, I'm dead certain of it. And I'm like, Abby, you have no reason to be dead certain of this. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm dead certain that the gemstone that's like really pure or whatever that she's found, or that was that she has, and that is being investigated, is the one that contains Ba-Ado Mishram. I'm sure that Ba-Ado Mishram is in that gem heart. Positive. Don't know if I've just been led to believe that, but I am like dead set on that. And I also loved, I think it was chapter 31, which was from Fenley, how she was like, why do we serve Odium? And I'm like, yes, this is the question. I've been questioning this. Like, we learned in Oathbringer that it was the Pashendi that came from Roshar originally, and it was with honour and cultivation, and it was the humans that came with Odium. How has it got so turned around that the Pashendi now like work with Odium? How has that happened? How have they managed to swap? I just don't get it. And the reason that was given, does not make sense. Does not make sense to me. So Venley, you are asking the right questions. I just need the right answers, please. I'm loving it. Theories today. For like the end of this part 2, I feel as though we're going to get to the point where Uruthiru is under attack, is under threat, and we're going to be seeing the discussion with the Honest Bren. But I don't really know where it's going to go like after that. Like, I've got a whole, like, I'm only a third of the way through the book. Like, there is a lot to go here. There is a lot to read. So it does make me question, like, where are we going to go next? Something that I've sort of forgotten about was the Battle of Champions. Like, we know that that's something that's coming, and like, where's that going to lead us to? And for people to speak their fourth ideal, that none of our main characters have done that yet. I know the significance of that. I think that's where my head's at right now. I'll update once I've read more, maybe at the end of like part 2. So I have now finished part 2 and the interludes. So I've come a long way. I feel like I've actually made some really good headway in this now. Like, I've made progress. It's still a bit daunting. I've still got a long way to go, but I've made progress, and I'm not going to take a break. I'm going to keep going because I'm so invested now. I'm so invested. Okay, the ending of part 2 and like the invasion of Uruthiru. Oh God, I felt for all our characters that were there and experiencing it, and I was like, oh no, it is going so wrong. It's going so wrong for them. So wrong. It feels as though now they've got to try and build themselves back up because they've lost their advantage. They've lost Uruthiru, which is what that was their like that was their biggest advantage, that they were able to move throughout Roshar semi-easily, that they had that, and now they don't, and now they don't. They're trapped there. I mean, I guess I'm happy that they haven't been killed, that they're still alive, that they're just kept prisoner, and I think that's going to create some like interesting dynamics with like Navani training under what's her name, and the things that they might learn from each other. Like, I think that could create some interesting things. But oh dear. And the scene where Kaladin and his father disagreed because his father was like, no, we're surgeons, we're here to protect people. And Kaladin was like, you cannot take death from me, you cannot do that. So he like kills the like regal. And it's just the way that their philosophies are different, and that they're both wanting to achieve the same thing, but they have different ways of going about it. And when his father says to him, like, you have become a monster, and I'm like, oh god, that's gonna hurt him. That is gonna hurt Kaladin. That is an awful thing to say to your child. I was like, I can understand where you're coming from because you just despise any form of killing, but can't you understand Kaladin's reasons for doing it? That Teft is like his last bridge for connection, and that's going to be taken from him. I'm very invested in that. So I do wonder where he's going to like run off to, because obviously his presence is now going to be like a threat to everyone. So is he going to have to try and like escape Uruthiru? Is he going to have to like go into the depths of it? Very interested. And I just, that they're going to have to try and like rise up to like take it back. But how are they going to be able to achieve that? And we don't know how it's going to go for Shalon and Adolin with the Honest Bren, but when they come out of Shazemar, which I assume they will at some point, they're going to come back into a world which is very different to the one that they left. And are they just going to enter into this Uruthiru, which is controlled by Odium? And then the interludes, I just don't even care about Moash, just like, ugh. But Lift's one, I'm very interested. I have thoughts. So Lift, like, obviously she's a little bit annoying, but I think she's really interesting because some of I have no idea what's going on with these chickens. Like, I'm sure there must be something a little bit significant about these chickens because they can't just be a chicken, but it's a chicken. And who is the guy with the more evil chicken that has like found her in quite a creepy way? Like, do not get good vibes. No good vibes there. But part of me's thinking that she's obviously different to other Knights Radiant. She's obviously different. She has different powers. Nobody else can like get power through consuming food. So, and she can do slightly different things. And it seems as though she's obviously met cultivation. She's had experiences with her. I also do find it weird that shards are male-female. Like, how could I don't know. I feel as though I should be calling them they, but they definitely are called she, him. Like, they definitely seem to have genders. I'm like, but is that the avatar that has a gender, or is that the shards? Should they have genders? Anyway, part of me wonders, is she tapping into both powers that came from honor and also powers from cultivation? Like, is she getting both? That she isn't just blessed with like Stormlight and like honor's powers, but also has powers that come from cultivation, with being able to like get things through food and having slightly different powers to everyone else. That's like a thought that I've had for Lift. Don't know if that's going to come to like any fruition. And then I'm also really intrigued because then we move into Taravangian's chapter, and Taravangian he's a very intriguing guy. I don't think I necessarily like him, but I'm definitely intrigued by him and his like different mental days, the way that he has his intelligence fluctuations. And it makes me so intrigued with why Odium cannot see Renarin. Because I'm going, why can't he see Renarin? Like, why? Why? I don't know if I've made this up, like, where you can't see your own future. Like, is Odium able to see, like, the future of, like, other people, but you can't see his own? And does Renarin have too much of an impact on his own future for him to be able to see Renarin? Or is it something to do with Renarin's corrupted Spren? But that I found very, very interesting. So then is Taravangian going to try and get himself more connected to Renarin so that Odium cannot see what he's doing? And that Odium is scared of, not necessarily Seth, but Seth's sword, which is, we know, is Nightblood. So it's weird to see that Odium is scared of something. And why would a shard be scared of something? Like, why would they be? There's a lot of thoughts going on. There's a lot of thoughts going on in my head around the end of this part. I feel like there's probably loads of things that I'm missing and I'm not picking up on, but I'm having a lot of fun with what I am picking up on. Also, a really like very random aside. Very random. I think it was actually a Moesha thing, because they were talking about the shard blades. Not when you have the bond with the Spren, but the ones where you have to count for 10 heartbeats for your shard blade to appear. And I was just thinking, I was like, 10 heartbeats. Well, it depends what like pace your heart is going at, because it always seemed as though they were like having to count like 10 seconds worth, like 1, 2. You'd think they'd have done training to get their heartbeats like the most primed so that the shard appears the quickest, because you know that when your resting heart rate is obviously going to be slower than your heart rate when you're stressed or exercising. Like, your resting heart rate might be below 60, but when you're exercising, it could be over 180. So it's going to appear 3 times quicker when you have your higher heart rate. So you think they'd be doing training to get your heart rate like optimal. Like, you don't want to be a peak athlete, because athletes can function at like a resting heart rate of 40 or something. You don't want to be that. You actually want to be slightly unhealthy so that you could have your heart rate could be elevated for the majority of the time. Or have I misunderstood this heart? Like, it takes 10 heartbeats for it to appear? Because then also when you're fighting, you would want to make sure that the person you're fighting, that you wanted to keep their heart rate lower. I don't know. It's a really random aside. And I think it's because my partner had commented on my heart rate being really low. I've recently been in hospital and I had the like heart rate monitor on, and he was like, Abby, I'm so jealous of your resting heart rate. It's in the 50s. I would dream of having such a low resting heart rate. So then when I saw that sentence about the 10 heartbeats, I was like, I wouldn't do very well waiting for my sharp blade to arrive, because I've got such a low resting heart rate that I'm not going to win against a competitor whose heart rate is quicker than mine. Anyway, very random, but I don't know if anyone's thought about that before, because it seemed to me that reading through this, that everyone's heart rates were very slow. And actually, if you're at stress and your heart is going 180 beats a minute, it's only going to take you like a few seconds for that sort to reappear, and you'd hardly, and yet they seem to be able to do a lot of things in those 10 seconds, or there's a lot of stress in those 10 seconds. Anyway, I'm going to get on with reading part 3, but those are some more thoughts.
Hello. So, I had some thought last night whilst I was like trying to fall asleep, but all I could think about was this book and theories and thoughts, which is what I had. I mean, it's happened a few times whilst reading the Stormlight Archive. Like, I would be trying to go to sleep, and then I'm like, oh, but what could this mean? Oh, but this could mean this, but this could mean that. It's when I had like loads of my Words of Radiance theories, they all came to me just before falling asleep. I was thinking last night, what happens, like, could a person have a bond with multiple spren? Like, why is it always just one? Why are you just like bonded with one type of spren? You're bonded with an honor spren. Like, why not with like 2 different types of spren? Why couldn't you be both a windrunner and an edge dancer? I don't think there's anything stopping that, because if you think about Venli has 2 bonds. She has the one with the void spren and with Timber. Is that the name of her other spren? So she's got 2, although the Timber sort of has like captured the void spren. Is my logic right? Like, could somebody have a bond with 2 spren? I mean, I don't know if we've met anybody that has that yet, but I feel like maybe that could come as more and more bonds are forming, that potentially 2 spren fight over one well, not fight over one person, but they both claim one person. Sort of like, you know, Fourth Wing-esque, where she gets the bond with 2 dragons. Like, why can't you have a bond with 2 spren? In theory. Might be a bit challenging with all those different like personalities that you're bonding with, but I think in theory it could happen. Which then also got me thinking, because I'm so invested in trying to figure out like what had happened to Shalon in the past. Like, what happened? I think because she's my favourite character. I mean, which is hard to say, because I like a lot of the characters, but I think Shalon has always been one of my favourite characters, and I know she's very divisive, so I think that is quite a controversial opinion, but I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, she's had so many reveals about what's happened with her mother and father and her traumatic childhood and the things that have gone on with her family, and so I'm like, what more could there be? What more could there be that she is hiding from? And I was looking through my notes, and I don't know if I said it, but in my notes I wrote, did she kill a spren? And then I wrote that down, and I was like, no, she didn't create a Dead Eyes, but maybe she did. Like, if my theory is correct that you could potentially have 2 bonds, and I also am so rebelling against the idea that Patton is the spy. I'm so rebelling against it, like, internally, I cannot accept it. I'm like, no. Patton is loyal. He cannot be the spy. I just internally, my every fibre of my being does not want to believe it. So maybe I'm just trying to come up with like excuses for why Patton is good and why Patton is still loyal to Shalon. And I was reading back through that scene and I realised it's going to be ages until I get to Shalon again and Adolin, because they're not in part 3 at all. I was going back through the last scene with them where Shalon finds out that it's potentially Patton that is the spy, and she tests him with this scene from her childhood, and he was obviously lying about being there. And I'm like, well, maybe he wasn't there. Maybe Shalon had a different bond then. And the traumas that she went through in her childhood, and because she was a child, meant that she failed to uphold that bond because she was so traumatized by the events. And that actually her bond with Patton came later. And that's why he was lying. It wasn't that he was lying because he's a spy, it's that he was lying because he was never there to begin with. And he's just trying to protect her by pretending that he remembers it. Yeah, that everything he's doing was to protect her and not that he's a spy at all. But am I just like creating false impressions out of nothing in my hope that Patton is a good guy and to figure out what could be so traumatic for Shalon? Because I'm like, we already know about the mother and father. Like, what else could there be? What else could be so bad? And the only thing I can think of is that she's hurt somebody that she trusted. We know that all her siblings are safe, and I'm like, it's the only thing my brain can think of. And at first I thought it as a joke, but maybe it's not a joke. Maybe that's it, that she had a bond before Patton and the trauma that she went through created a dead eyes. But then where is that dead eye? Are they around? And you think if they were around, like, if that was the case, why would Patton then create a bond with her if he knew the way that she had dead-eyed one of his fellow countrymen? I don't know, fellow Spren population. So anyway, those are like some theories that my brain was like coming up with. But then I don't know if my brain is just coming up with more and more outlandish things. I guess maybe I'll find out as the book goes on. I'm also very curious from what I've read this morning. So we started getting Venli's and Eshonai's like history and then meeting the humans to begin with, which I think is quite interesting. And there's a scene where Venli gets given this gem and gets told, go out into the storm and you'll find a new form, from this person called Axendwith. Who is this person? Because they seem very suspicious. I mean, they're in Gavilar's company, but it seems as though they're working towards their own objectives. They have some very suspicious powers, like being able to understand the singer's language straight away. This may just be me, but we get told that she's wearing lots of rings, and I'm like, people in Roshar don't wear lots of rings. You only wear rings if you're a Farouk Mist, and so you're a world hopper. Like, you have no other reason to wear a ring, or multiple rings. Like, that is just, like, not allowed. So maybe they're a world hopper because they wear lots of rings, and they're from Scadrial, and they're Farouk Mist, and I have no idea why they would be that or what they're doing, but that's the only reason I can think that they would wear rings, because no one just would wear them for the aesthetic of it. And from finishing chapter 54, I found the scenes really interesting between Renarin and Dalinar, and seeing their relationship and seeing the relationship in juxtaposition against Dalinar and Adolin's relationship that we saw just before Adolin went into Shadesmar. Found that, like, just the dynamics very interesting, but also the whole scene with them talking through, like, being able to see the future, why potentially Renarin's hidden from Odium, what he's seeing, and I just found that all very interesting. There's probably more to unpack in it, but my head was just like, yeah, this is interesting. Maybe I'll do some more like pre-bedtime thoughts and come back tomorrow with like more thoughts, more out there theories that don't quite make sense, but maybe I'll get more things to back them up over the next few pages, or a few hundred pages. Anyway, I'm now at chapter 55, going to do some more reading and we'll update. Hello, so I have now finished part 3 and moving into part 4, so I thought I would check in, having got to the end of another part, and some of my thoughts, and knowing that I'm now coming into the like final, not quite the final bit because that's still like 400 pages, but it looks as though I'm approaching the end. I've just put another bookmark in for where part 4 ends, but like I've made a lot of progress. I'm very tired today. I'm very, very tired. So excuse the brain that's not quite functioning. I've got a good amount of sleep, but I'm obviously still recovering from the surgery that I had a couple of weeks ago, and I overexerted myself yesterday, and it is getting to me today. It's got me today. I am knackered. Anyway, excuse my thoughts are not very coherent, but I have written down some things that I would like to talk about. I've been trying to figure out the different like secret societies, or like mostly the Ghost Bloods, because they're very much a Cosmere society. Like, they are in Mistborn, they are in Stormlight, and they are across the Cosmere, and I'm trying to understand all of their objectives and motivations and why they're doing what they're doing. And it seems as though they're quite, I don't know, different depending on if you're on Scadrial or if you're on Roshar, and that they have different maybe factions within them, because my original like head was going, okay, so we know the leader of the Ghost Bloods is Kelsia, great, and from Mistborn I have an attachment to Kelsia. I feel as though the Ghost Bloods should be actioning things for good, and on Scadrial it feels, although there are like some things that I don't agree with what they've been doing, particularly as we move into Era 2, in general I feel as though they're there wanting to protect Scadrial, protect its interests, protect it from wider threats, that it feels more like they are a force for good, unless I've misinterpreted things, unless I've got things really wrong and I've just got this like, I don't know, golden image of Kelsia that I mean, I know he's not definitely not perfect, but like more of a golden image than I should have. Whereas Mraize and the Ghost Bloods on Roshar, I don't like them at all. Like, I do not get good vibes from them at all, and they seem quite manipulative and not very good for our characters and their interests and protecting Roshar. So my head is going, oh, what are their like objectives? What is it that it's one society that's become so fractured because of how big it is in terms of like the cosmos, that it's spanning all these different worlds, and that what one ethos is on one planet is no longer the ethos that it has on this other planet because it's recruited too many people that no longer uphold the same values? Or is it that all of the values have gradually been shifting over time? I'm not an expert on the timelines within the Cosmere, like where Rhythm of War falls in relation to Mistborn Era 2, and where the Ghost Bloods are, like where they've got to. I've just been trying to figure out like their objectives, and is it that, because I'm sure one of their objectives is protecting Scadrial and protecting Scadrial's interest within the Cosmere, is it that they're so fixated on that objective that they will throw any other planet, world into jeopardy in order to stop Odium from focusing on Scadrial? Like, they will throw everybody else under the bus as long as they're protecting their own interests, and that they're so fixated on that objective that they don't view all of the people on other worlds as, they're just collateral damage. They're like, other people, other worlds are collateral damage if they get in the way between them and protecting Scadrial. Or is there something that I'm missing? Is there something that I'm missing to this? But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what is their end goal? What are they hoping to achieve at the end of all this? Because if your interest is protecting Scadrial, then you should realise that by not putting your cards in the ring with Roshar and fighting Odium, then you're just going to put yourself in the worst position, because Odium's going to come out and be like, I'm going to attack, I'm not going to stop it. He's not going to stop at Roshar. He's going to keep wanting to expand. And the more and more power that he gains, the more and more of a threat he's going to be for Scadrial. And that you're delaying. If you don't fight Odium now, you're going to be delaying a worse end to yourselves. I don't know. I was just trying to figure them out, because I don't like Mraize. I don't like him. He's not very nice. Or maybe as well that we don't have any perspectives from people within the organisation, so it's hard to know exactly what they want. Similarly, but it's more of a species, is the Sleepless, because we've had them referred to, I've remembered them vaguely from Dawn Shard, having read that. And I'm like, what do they want? What do they want? What is their objective? It's trying to figure out all these different people, societies, objectives within this. What is their goal in all this? And that's just a question, because I can't really, I remember reading Dawn Shard, I remember the basic plot points of it, but I'm like, what did they want? They wanted to protect all worlds, but I'm like, their whole Kremlings all sticking together to create and can look like a human, just sort of freaky. It's a freaky idea. That was just another one where I was like, what do they want? Okay, aside from that, in terms of like plot points, like I really liked the end of part 3. I did find in general that part a bit slower. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as parts 1 and part 2. Obviously there were good scenes in it, but I think I had more scenes that I preferred in the first 2 parts compared to this one. I think it was a little bit slow. It felt like there were moments that it wasn't, there were definitely interesting parts, but it wasn't as engaging. But I did enjoy the ending, and obviously I'm really feeling for our characters. Kaladin's being put, he's going through it. He's having a really tough time, and then especially at the end getting like, well, having to destroy the 3rd node of protection for the sibling, and the threat that he got put into by doing that, and that they were actually, Fuse were actually listening in the whole time to Navani and the siblings' conversations. But yeah, Kaladin going out into the storm and being just like thrown out there, and then Dalinar sort of protecting him, and then obviously now Dalinar, and then realising that actually Navani Urithiru is at risk. I really like that sort of like realisation. Through all this though, my head's like, where's the hell? Like, where is he? Like, we had that scene with him in part 1, because it's the scene where I actually stopped, where him and Kaladin are having a little like fighting scene, but we haven't seen him since, and I don't think he left Urithiru, so I forgot that in that scene. So where is he? Because is he just living through this occupation? Because we know he's quite a powerful individual with a lot of investiture. What is he? What's this guy doing during the whole of this? Like, surely he could be doing something. Or is he just sitting there twiddling his thumbs? But surely he should be doing something. Then a couple of other points. So these are all quite like randomly sporadic things that have just been coming to my mind over like the past, I don't know, few days. I was thinking about the Unmade. So we know that these Unmade are creations of Odium, that he's created these like beings. So one of them being that, well, I can't even say it, Jeanette, whatever. I'm thinking about the name, like them being unmade, and the idea that that's what Raboniel wants to do to the sibling. They want to unmake it, and the sibling sees that as like a death. And we know that these unmade, some of them are sort of splitting from Odium, like Sarge Jeanette is trying to like do some sneaky things away from Odium, and I guess that does happen. Like, people, just because you're, I don't know, parents believe something doesn't mean that you believe something. So just because you've come from Odium doesn't mean you're going to have the same philosophies as Odium. It's sort of how I'm interpreting that. Your nature doesn't have to be because of your DNA. But part of me is thinking is that with these unmade, did they originally come from another shard and they have been corrupted into being these unmade, that to have Odium's like Odium within them, or Odium, a product of Odium within them? Because unless I've completely misinterpreted it, like that they were planning to turn the sibling into an unmade by putting all the void light into the sibling, and we know that the sibling comes originally from honor and cultivation. So does that mean that potentially like the other unmade originally came from, say, honor or cultivation, or both of them, and that they have been impacted by Odium? And does that mean that if you took, I don't know if you can, if you took that void light out, would that mean that they became made again? Became, you know, just the product of their original parent? I'm not quite sure on the right terms of that, but I'm just thinking about in the term of unmade, that they were made originally as something else and Odium has unmade them. And then the epigraphs, which are always interesting, always very interesting. The epigraphs have always got a lot going on in them. And originally I was like, I don't really know what's going on with these epigraphs. I mean, obviously it seems as though they're from a book, from Rhythm of War, and that you have the writing and then you have a commentary from somebody else, like undertext. And then I've realised it seems as though these are, I'm guessing, Navani and Raboniel communicating back and forth on their investigations into the different lights and the sound, the tones is my guess. I don't know what sand is. Like, maybe that's something we're going to figure out in part 4, because I was like, I don't know what this sand is doing here. But otherwise it seems as though I was like, okay, this is them and their investigations and them commenting on it. But I do find their like investigation quite interesting, and seeing how these two peoples can collaborate. And I think it would be so interesting to see
if in a future there could be a proper collaboration between Singer's Parchment and humans and them fighting together against Odium. I mean, I think it's a long way coming, but it would be good if they could, coordinate. And it's nice seeing that sort of like snippet of that, even though they know that they are enemies. And I feel as though the whole investigation, I feel like it'd be really interesting if I was a scientist, or for a scientist who would be able to maybe understand a little bit more the actual science behind like elements and tones and things, because I feel like that is something. And I am intrigued by what they're going to create, because obviously we know that Stormlight and Lifelight can mix, or have mixed in the sibling and in Lift as well, because I think Lift uses both. So what will Stormlight and Voidlight look like when they are combined? Or Lifelight and Voidlight combined? Like, what would that create? Is it these explosions, or is it more than that, or is it something else? Like what would those combinations create? I mean, why is that creating the sibling? And like, I don't know, it creates these questions. And so does that mean if we have these different lights, if each shard has its own light, and what would it look like if all of them were combined? And what are the lights like of the other shards? And what can they do? So anyway, this has gone on for way too long, but some of my predictions, I mean, I'm assuming there's going to be a battle for Urutheru and getting Urutheru back in the hands of our human main characters that we are rooting for. But part of me doesn't want that. I think I don't want that, because then I would feel as though we've gone through this whole book and we've come to the same place. That if we get to the end of the book and okay, they've got Urutheru back, yes, we progressed a bit in some place or another, but how is that position that much different from the beginning of Rhythm of War? If we get to the end and they've got Urutheru back, they haven't really accomplished anything in terms of getting any more land under their control, and the enemy hasn't really progressed either. So obviously it's a prediction, as it feels like that's the logical course, that they're going to be trying to get Urutheru back, because it is what anyone would want. But it also feels like it would be I'd get to the end and be like, oh, we're at the same place as we started. So I don't really want that to be what happens. I want something else to happen that would leave us in a different place from where we started. Because it's like, I've been reading for 850 pages and I don't really want to go back to the beginning. I want to, feel as though we've progressed. And obviously we've progressed because I've got so many more theories that we've learned so much. And I'm sure that there's going to be some big reveals. I'm sure there will be. But I just don't want our characters to be in the same locations, and the same, feeling as though they're in the same spot. And obviously I anticipate that there is going to be someone that bonds with the sibling. That the sibling's obviously a bit against it right now, but I think there is going to be a bond that's going to be created. The logical one is Navani. But I want like Relaine to get a bond, to have a bond. But I don't know, I just feel like Navani's the logical one. It just seems logical. So I will keep reading. I'm looking forward to getting back to Shalon and Adolin, because it's been so many hundreds of pages since I've read about them, and I want to know what's going to happen in Shadesmar for them. I will check in if I get any more thoughts. I feel like I had some other ones that I was thinking about, but I haven't written them down, so you'll just have to wait for my next update.
So I've just finished chapter 78. And we're with Shalon and Adolin, and the High Judge has just arrived, and it's revealed that the High Judge is Ristaris, who's actually Kelek, one of the Heralds. Okay, so Ristaris, the leader of the Sons of Honor, who is another group that I actually forgot about, but like them and what their objectives. But okay, so Ristaris, leader of the Sons of Honor, is actually a Herald called Kelek, who is actually a Spren. I thought the Heralds were human, but it literally says he is an eternal and immortal Spren who blesses us with his presence. He might have the form of a man. So how are the Heralds Spren? I don't understand. I don't get it. I thought the Heralds were human. So is it a Spren then that is Ristaris, who is Kelek, who is the leader of the Sons of Honor, who is a Herald? So are all the Heralds Spren? Because I thought they were human. I mean, I thought they were human that have died multiple times and gone through lots and lots of, trauma. but I thought they had a human form. But have I misunderstood something here? Because it is very apparent that the Spren say that he's a Spren.
Okay, so I have finished part 4 and the interludes. I'm at part 5. I am so close to the end. So yesterday I did that. I was really tired, so I did not speak to you, even though there were moments where I was like, but I just kept reading and I was tired, and then yeah. So here we are. A lot happened at the end of part 4. A lot happened. I mean, I love the Shalon Aiden chapters with the Honor Spren. Okay, I was right. I was right about Shalon killing her old Spren. Well, making a dead eyes out of her original Spren. I didn't want to be right. I did not want that to be a correct prediction, but it was. I'm relieved that she has acknowledged this. I'm relieved that she didn't turn into this like formless person that was just like voiding all of her emotions. That she acknowledged that and was like, okay, yes. But I also didn't like want it to be true, but it was like I knew it was coming in a way, but I was like, especially as we like built towards it, like when Passion revealed the dead eye and she was like, no. I wonder what this is going to mean for her going forward. Like, now that she has accepted hopefully everything to do with her past, she accepted the lot, and that her personalities are sort of not disappearing, but Vale is no longer there, that her personalities have stabilized. So I'm hoping for some like good, her health, her stability is good. I was a bit surprised about that she was actually the one that killed Eli, that was a bit of a surprise. I was like, oh, so there was no one that like was plotting against you. It was you were plotting against yourself all along. But that makes me question, like, what other things is she forgetting? That if she forgot everything to do with doing that, are there other things that she is hiding from herself? Like, how foggy is her? How bad? How unreliable is she as a narrator? I mean, I do still really like her, but how unreliable is she? And I'm wondering, like, what's happened to her now? Like, seeing that she got discovered with Kelek, what does that mean for both of them? And like, they're obviously not at the trial, so where are they? And like, what's going on with them? Like, what's happened? I believe the like epigraphs in this part were all from Kelek himself, and like what happens when you trap a herald within a gem, within the knife, like what happens to their soul. They're obviously not stable. Like, if you've been alive for that long, unless you're in like a fey fantasy romance, you're not stable. You're not. I enjoyed all of those scenes. So engaging. I also do wonder what this is going to mean for like Shalon's relationship with the Ghost Bloods, because she actually has gone against them now, and so they're not going to let her in. I wonder what that's going to mean for that. So then the trial. I love Maya. Maya is my like new favourite character of this book. Her and Adelyn's relationship, so cute. I feel as though I don't know, I want to give like Maya a forehead kiss. I'm like, you just need to be like, you just need a hug and a little forehead kiss. And the reveal that Maya says that she's like, we chose, like, you made this whole thing about how bad the Radiants were, how it was all on them, they turned all their spread into daylights, it was on them, when actually it was a joint decision, and those Spren chose it. I mean, I do want to understand a little bit more why did they make this choice? Why did they sacrifice themselves? I do want to understand that reveal, that like, I guess like shattering of the Honor Spren's like way of being, and everything that they've been led to believe for thousands of years. It's all just been like, you were wrong. And that relationship that Maya and Adelyn have, where it's like, you can take some of my strength, and I was like, I absolutely loved it. I want to see like how their bond is going to continue to develop. Are they going to get to a point where they are fully like bonded in the same way that other Radiants are bonded? Because it seems as though they're progressing in that way, but slightly different. The way that Honor Spren treated her as well was criminal. Things with like Venli. So it seems to me as though Raboniel has like planted this seed with Venli to go off and find her people. She's like, the singers aren't all dead, here they are. It seems as though Venli's like, I'm going, I'm gone, I'm out of here, I'm gone. I feel as though that's like Raboniel knows that Venli is potentially not loyal to the fused, and this is her way of getting Venli like away, like out. That she doesn't want Venli to die potentially, and so she's like, this is an out, this is the way to get her away from this and out of the fight. Or that also she thinks that Venli would have an impact if there was a fight. But also I feel as though Venli's going to start going down this path. I mean, this is what I'm imagining. Venli's going to start going down this path. She's going to head towards these singers and realise that it's the wrong path and that she needs to come back. So I'm thinking she's going to come, like, she'll start going that way and then she'll be like, actually, mistake, I'm going to come back. I realise that for me to be good in myself, I need to save the humans within Urithiru, which is my prediction for what's going to go on with Venli. I also really enjoyed the scenes with like Navali and Raboniel discovering the like antithesis of void light, and then the quite touching moment where Raboniel kills her own daughter so that she can set her free, so that release. But then the realization that, okay, they've created this, but so now Raboniel and the Fuse can create an anti of Stormlight, and that they can just go on a rampage. So it's all very bleak. It's all very, very bleak. So I'm wondering where we're going to get to in part 5. I mean, it is going to be the retaking of Urithiru. It's going to be the Battle of Urithiru, isn't it? Logically, that's what we've been building towards, with all our players that are going to be coming back to that. A part of me wonders, and especially with the Taravangian chapters where he's all like trying to mastermind something against Odium. And I'm like, who is masterminding who? Like, it seems as though Odium's been masterminding a lot of people. Like, he's been putting people in different places. He's always been however many steps ahead. That's what it seems. It seems as though he's so ever many steps ahead of our characters. And although all of our characters are trying to get ahead of him, and they have their own like mastermind plans, like Taravangian's like, oh, I could do this to mastermind this. At this point, it doesn't feel as though whatever mastermind plans that they're coming up with, that is quite enough. Maybe when we get to book 5, maybe, but like at this point, I feel as though they're just being herded into different scenarios that Odium is still controlling. I would anticipate Odium knew that he would not be able to control Urithiru forever. Odium would know this because he can sort of see different parts of the future, that he would not be able to control it forever. That as soon as Dalinar and the army realised what happened, they would come back and they would, I would anticipate, retake Urithiru. And so he would be planning for that. He would anticipate that. He knows that. So is it that he is corrupting the siblings so much that the siblings going to be spying for him? Or like, is this a way for him to test those forces? I don't know. I feel as though Odium's cleverer than me, and Odium's cleverer than our characters, and they are not out tricking him. I just don't think that they are as yet, and I don't see them getting that way. Maybe they will. Maybe they will eventually, but I don't feel as though they're delivering a blow to him currently, and I don't think the retaking of Urithiru is going to be the blow. Like, it just puts them back to where they were at the beginning of the book. I'd hope there's going to be some sort of like other reveal. I mean, obviously it was a reveal about the Honest Bring like sacrificing themselves all along, but I wonder if there's going to be like another reveal. I hope there is like another reveal. I wonder if anyone's going to die. I wonder if like, I don't know. I don't think any of our main perspective characters are going to die in this one, but like maybe someone from Bridge 4 could be a death. You know, who's in Bridge 4? Like Relaine, Teft. I feel as though that could be like a realistic death. Or could a Spren die at some point? Oh, that could be quite shocking. That could be quite shocking. Like, if they develop this Stormlight, anti-Stormlight kill Spren, oh, it could be quite shocking if someone like Syl died. I don't think Syl would die in this, but if a Spren dies at some point, that could be like quite a shocking death. It'd be one that I wouldn't have like anticipated until this moment when I've actually said it. Like, I would not have anticipated the death of a Spren, but that I think would be a good traumatic death. So yeah, those I guess would be my predictions. That Venny's going to come back, bring the cavalry, not bring the cavalry of herself. I think that they're all going to converge on Eurithera. I think there might be a death of a minor character. I think that Moash is probably going to appear and traumatize Kaladin a bit more. I wonder how much of a cliffhanger ending this will be, or if it will end and they'll have like retaken Urithiru. I wonder if Odium's going to appear. I feel as though he's not really been in this book very much. He's not really appeared. We haven't had the Battle of Champions, so that must be something that we're going to get in book 5. Unless Odium is now like, I don't want this Battle of Champions. You do wonder who the champions for each side is going to be, and I am happy with like the development that our characters have gone through so far in this book. Although if we do end up at the same place in terms of our characters in Urithiru at the end, I am happy with like the development all our characters have gone through. Waiting to see what reveals we might get, or if any of our main characters are going to get their shard plate and swear the next oath, because that would be quite cool as well. I will keep reading. Hello, so it's the same day, a bit later, and I haven't read anything yet. So there's no update on what I've read, but I've been thinking that I've been distracted. I've been, you know, sucked in, and I've been forgetting things. I've been forgetting about Odium. I mean, you can't really forget about him, but I've been forgetting about him. What is Odium's motivation? And is it Odium's motivation or Ray's? Is it motivation? Because we know that, you know, Odium's controlled by an avatar called, I think it's Ray's. And what is their motivation? Like, what do they want? They're currently stuck on that planet called Braze, from what I've understood. So they're stuck there, and the initial idea is that they want to get off that planet and they want control. I mean, my assumption is they're wanting to destroy all the rest of the shards. But why would they want to do that? Why? What is their objective? What is their aim? Like, what is their motivation? I'm guessing these motivations are actually the motivations of Ray's and not of Odium itself, because we know from Mistborn that the shards aren't inherently good or bad. They're a balance. Ruin and Preservation, they had to be in balance. You couldn't just have one of them, because otherwise everything went into chaos. And it wasn't that Ruin was bad, it just needed to be balanced. And that's why you need all, I'm guessing, 16 shards, that you need everything to be in balance. Well, what is Odium or Ray's motivation? And is it that Ray's is unstable, and that if Odium was held by somebody else, that they would be more stable, and that their motivations would be different? But whether it's Odium or Ray's, that's not the point for right now. My point being that what's their motivation? Like, what is their objective in everything they're doing on Roshar? I feel as though they have been manipulating this whole battle between the Parshendi fused and the humans. They've manipulated that whole thing into being a battle. We know from the flashbacks of Venny's POV that she was handed like the start for them to create the fuse. We know that Odium's been pushing them in that direction into fighting the humans, and also in addition to that, to killing Gavilar to begin with. So he's pushed that whole start of this battle, and that's just crescendoed into where we are today. So we know that he has manipulated everyone into that battle. In myself, there's no good or bad between the humans and the Parshendi and the singers. There's no good or bad between them. It's that they've been manipulated into this battle by Odium. And is that all just a distraction? Is that all just a distraction because he wants to get off the planet of Brace? Like, he's been stuck there. I'm not too sure. I can't quite remember if we know loads about him getting stuck there, trapped on that planet. But anyway, he's wanting to get off. And I don't know what he needs or what he requires to get off this planet. What factors does he need to do it? And is it, I mean, now we know that Raboniel is going to be creating this anti-Stormlight. Like, is it he's trapped by like Stormlight, or trapped by the powers of honor, and in creating this anti-Stormlight that's going to free him, and everyone is going to be so busy fighting each other on Roshar that they're going to not realise that Odium's broken out of Braze and is rampaging elsewhere. That they're so focused on killing each other that they haven't realised that he's escaped. Because are we going to know when he escapes? Like, is there going to be a big, like, bang, Odium's released? And it doesn't seem as though the other shards are, like, gathering, really, to make sure that he is contained there. And so it seems as though Odium's doing everything that he's doing is to try to escape right now, but everything that our characters are doing is to fight in this war locally that they can see. They're not trying to figure out how they can reinforce Odium's prison. They're not doing anything to try and make sure that Odium stays where he is and that Odium doesn't have the power that he needs to escape. But that's what I'm just wondering, if it's just all been a big manipulation. A big manipulation so that people just don't realise what he is doing. And then I also just thought that if with the sibling, that Roshar is made up of, cultivation, honour and odium as the the shards on that world, and the different tones in their makeup and stuff. But odium's on Braze. He's not on that planet. I was just thinking about that. Anyway, I just wonder if everything's just all a big sleight of hand for Odium. And he's just been moving people around where he wants them. And nobody's realised it yet.
These chapters are so dramatic. I feel like I need a breather from them. They're so dramatic. Like Moash killing Teft. Moash is just... I don't even have words for how infuriating he is. Can he just not? Like, it's just too much. Like, stop killing and hurting people and actually listen to your emotions, because now he's like blinded and he was starting to feel things again, and then I was like, no. And Kaladin swearing his fourth ideal, I was like, oh no, it's all going so wrong for him. And I was so concerned when they were speaking, Venny, when she spotted the different lights in his eyes, I was like, oh no, is that like Odium sort of taking control of him? Or not control, but like getting in somehow. And Odium like wanting Kaladin as a champion, which is what Moash was pushing him towards, it seemed, by saying you can either like give up all your emotions like I have, or die. But then obviously Kaladin, he finds a new way. Fourth ideal, those scenes where he swore that, and then Navani tricking Raboniel, but then Raboniel actually supporting her, being like, I support you despite you killing me. I'm gonna like help with Moash and try and get him. I was like, yes, Raboniel, yes. And then her bonding with the sibling. Oh, it's just so much drama. It's so dramatic. And Dalinar, what have you done? Well, firstly, like, what is going on with those Spren, and Spren being in like human-sized bodies in Roshar? Like, they shouldn't be like that there. Like, what is going on with those experiments? What is going on? Can't we just be happy with Spren being on the Spren side in Shadesmar? Happily. Obviously not. They're trying to get the Spren over to Roshar. This Herald just seems absolutely mad. But then Dalinar making this deal with Odium, I just have bad feelings. I have bad vibes. It's bad vibes. It's just full of bad vibes. Dalinar, what are you doing? I think this is going to go wrong. Like, they're not going to win, and then Dalinar is going to be Odium's champion, and then we're going to have to spend other time fighting Dalinar as Odium wants to take over the world. I could just see it happening, and I don't like it. Okay, I have a bit more to go, but
Taravangian kills Reyes and becomes Odium, or becomes the avatar of Odium. But what? What is going on here? I was like, oh, Taravangian dead. No, wait, he's Odium. Wait, what? What is this going to mean? Like, what is this going to mean? Because Taravangian's goals as the Avatar are going to be very different from what Reyes' goals were. And does this mean that the like deal still stands between Odium and Dalinar? It's going to be a very different person controlling the power. But I don't trust Taravangian. But I feel like I trust him more than Reyes, even though I've never met Reyes. Reyes. What is this going to mean? What is this going to mean? And did Renarin see this and set this up? Did Renarin see this? Because he sent a note saying, I'm sorry, like, did he see this coming?
Hello. So I am now here to close out this vlog with my final thoughts for the end of Rhythm of War. I did it. It's finished. And then as well as some predictions for Wind and Truth. I can't believe, I feel so accomplished that I have finished this. So accomplished. This is probably one of my biggest accomplishments of the year, that I've managed to finish this book. And I know for some people it wouldn't be, but for me it was a massive accomplishment. Overall thoughts, I loved it. I love the book, 5 stars. I think this was the right time for me to read the book. I think that really helped. In April, it was not the right time. I was like, I know I'm enjoying this, but it's not the right time. And actually having like that week of work at home, I was able to just like power through it. And I felt like that was a good pace for it. Like I had a good momentum. It was the right time for it. I think if I did have work, then it would have been a struggle to have kept up that pace. And then I would have felt like the book was probably slower because of how long it was taking for me to read it. So I think it really worked for the time. I definitely preferred it to Oathbringer. Yeah, it's a really high one for me. I really liked it. I really liked it. I think I might have heard it. It's hard. With Words of Radiance, I predicted too much. And then I feel as though that dampened my enjoyment because of how I predicted too much. So I really liked this one. My only critique with it is that it does feel as though it's come a little bit full circle and that we're back at the beginning again in the same physical locations, and we haven't moved on any further with the Trial of the Champions, which we knew was coming anyway. So that is my only critique, that it does feel a little bit as though we're in the same place, even though the characters have moved on a lot. Thoughts on the ending, I really like how the characters are getting more and more exposed to the Cosmere and like that idea of it, and I'm excited to see what that could mean for Shalon and Adolin, because it seems as though they potentially could go off exploring, or maybe they'll start seeing more things from around the Cosmere. So I do just enjoy how they are very accepting of the idea of the Cosmere, and there is more out there, and the slow like reveal of that to all our characters. The epilogue was really interesting. The epilogue. So at first, my first thought when I finished the book, I was like, oh no, this is not good news. Hoyd has been duped. By Odium, or Odium Taravangian, like, oh dear. But then I got to thinking, and I was like, well, who played who? Because Hoyd is clever, Hoyd is old, Hoyd knows things, and I feel as though he is cleverer than that. And actually, maybe he's played Odium off against himself, and so Odium thinks that he's one-upped Hoyd, but Hoyd actually really knows the memories that have been taken from him, and knows that he's lost breath, because he would have realised instantly that he would have lost a heightening in his breath. He would have, because he's Hoyd. He would realise that. Also, 1,000 years old. 1,000 years old. He's looking good for his age. If he's figured out a way to maintain his sanity, could the same process be replicated with the Heralds? Because we know that Kaladin is going to be going off to Ishar, to see Ishar and try and like help him. But speaking of Ishar, I had a theory. I was editing my blog, up to date, and I was talking about how when Shalon and Adolin meet Kelek, they get told that he is a Spren, and I was like, I just don't get this. Like, how is he a Spren? I thought he was human. Is he really a Spren? And then I was like, okay, so they say that he's a Spren, and Ishar is trying to get Spren into the physical realm and to manifest there in like their full body shape. Is it that he's not actually crazy? Like, obviously it's grotesque what he's doing, but is it that he knows it can be done because it's been done to him? Him and the other heralds have had this process. They have been taken out of their Spren bodies in Shadesmar and put into the physical realm as Spren, and so he knows it's possible. And is he trying to replicate it so that he can create more heralds, or a new version of heralds, and that they could swear a new oath pact again with a new batch of heralds, because heralds need to be Spren that are human shaped? Or is this as wrong as my Bar Adam Mishram theory being the gem that Navani had from ages ago, and that was just completely wrong? I was so certain on it, and it was completely wrong. Like, is this as bad as that prediction? Anyway, it was just a very like random thought, and I guess Bar Adam Mishram is going to have to come up at some point, but who knows where they are. Okay, then outside of that, like some predictions. We know we're heading to this Battle of Champions. We know we're heading towards it. Although do we know that? Do we know that? Like, that's what we're all led to expect. We're led to expect that there's going to be a Battle of Champions. And Do not ask me who I think is going to be the champion on either side, because I don't know. I've looked on, I've done some Googling these past few days, and I can see that there are some like theories and ideas for who's going to be Odium's champion or Honor's champion. Like, I've seen that, and I'm just not sure about any of it. I'm just not sure, okay? You've all been doing a lot of predicting over these past 3 years. But is this Battle of Champions even valid? Like, isn't it void? Because the Battle of Champions was decreed and like done with Reyes. Reyes is dead. So that deal, it's off. It's void. It's void. That's what I'm thinking. It's not even like legitimate anymore. That it's already been broken because the person that they agreed it with, the Odium party of Reyes, is dead. And you can say, yes, Odium's still around, but Odium is just held as a shard by a person, by Reyes, by Taravangian. And Reyes definitely did not have a conversation with Taravangian to transfer his contracts and agreements when he died. So I would say this whole contract, this whole Battle of Champions is null and void. It's null and it's void. I don't really know what that means, because there isn't an agreement anymore. They would need to make a new agreement with Taravangian. And that's probably one of the reasons why Taravangian doesn't want them to know that the avatar of Odium has changed. I don't even know if avatar is the right word, but like that's one of the reasons why he doesn't want them to know. And he's pretending still to be Reyes, because otherwise he realises that he has the deal is void, and he's already lost it. He's already, like, it's gone. So then, if there is a Battle of Champions, if we're back on that logic, who knows who it would be? Would it be like midway through the book? Would it be towards the end of the book? It feels like it would be very, very drawn out if it was towards the end of the book. Where would it fall in the arc of that book? Because we know that this is the end of the arc. This is the end of the first, like, era of Stormlight. So you'd hope that it sort of wraps up. Then part of me wonders that if Dalinar loses and Dalinar becomes Odium's new champion, fused for Odium, and he gets sent off across the universe to be Odium's spokesperson, is he actually fulfilling what Honor wants by uniting the planets and uniting the other shards together? And actually, if he was doing that for Odium, it would propel him into the position to be able to do all of that, even if he's not doing it willingly. And I do also wonder, is Taravangian still going to have his, like, not mood swings, his intelligence swings, where he goes from being really clever one day to really unclever the next day? Because that would be very problematic for somebody with so much power. That would be so problematic. Those are the thoughts that I wrote down. Obviously, I'm excited to see what I've got right, what I've got wrong. Let me know what your favourite theories are in the comments, so that we can discuss them together and, you know, theorise. Before I get to Wind and Truth, I still need to read The Sunlit Man. I think that's the only thing, and a couple of short stories that I have not read yet. And I don't know if I will be reading Wind and Truth this year. That it's a big commitment of a book, and I have pre-ordered it, but I don't know if it will be happening this year. We'll see if I get sucked in by the hype of its release. So yes, let me know your theories, if you've enjoyed listening to my theories, thoughts, predictions, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!